Okay, we're back for the second part of the video. We're now on questions 6 and 7. Those are the last two parts of our launch. So same question as 5, gives us the polynomial, and then it says, where would the graph of p of x cross the x-axis? What does it mean? Where would the graph cross the x-axis? I mean, that's the definition of the 0. So it'd be the 0 of the function, wherever the graph crosses the x-axis. So again, I'm trying to think about what I could plug in for x that would make the equation equal to 0. So I'm going to end up with 3 zeros. Let's start with the easiest one. So I have x minus 7. What number could I plug in to make it equal to 0? It would be 7. 7 minus 7 would give me 0. So I could know one of my zeros is going to be 7. Here, it's just x. What could I plug in to make it equal to 0? Well, I could just plug in 0, and it would be equal to 0. So the second 0 is 0. This last one's a little bit trickier because I have a 2x plus 3. So when I have a 2x plus 3, I have to set it equal to 0 and then solve for x to figure out what I could plug in to make it equal to 0. So I have 2x plus 3. I'm going to set it equal to 0, and then now I'm going to solve for x. So I'm going to go ahead, subtract 3 from both sides to try to isolate x. That cancels out. 0 minus 3 is going to be negative 3. And then I'm just left with 2x over here. So I have 2x equals negative 3. Then my last step to isolate x, to get x all by itself, is going to be to divide by 2. So if I divide by 2 over here, it cancels out. X is all alone. If I divide by 2 over here, I'm left with that as my final answer. So I'm going to write the final step over here. I get x equals negative 3 over 2. So it is definitely okay and expected to get fractions as your final answer. So that's going to be my x here. My 0 is going to be negative 3 over 2. And if I plugged in negative 3 over 2 into this x here, I would end up getting negative 3 plus 3, which would then give me 0. Okay, those are my zeros. Last one. Again, I'm given a polynomial. Where would the graph of p of x cross the x-axis? Same keywords there, cross the x-axis. Tell me I'm looking for the zeros of the function. My function has 2 pieces, so I'm looking for my 2 zeros. What could I plug in for this first x to make it equal to 0? If I plugged in negative 6 here, then negative 6 plus 6 would give me 0. So my first answer is negative 6. This next one is again a little bit more complicated because it's 3x plus 9. So I have to set 3x plus 9 equal to 0, and I'm going to solve. So I get minus 9, 3x equals negative 9. Divide both sides by 3, and I get x equals negative 9 over 3. And negative 9 over 3. In my calculator, I could simplify that to x equals negative 3. Okay, so my other 0 is negative 3. Let's double check that makes sense. Going back up here, if I plugged in negative 3 for x, I would get negative 3 times 3, which would be negative 9. Negative 9 plus 9 is 0. So yes, that makes sense. It works. Okay, so that is the end of the launch review. What I'm going to ask you to do now is, while you're on your computer, I'm going to have you make your way back to your slides. Hold on, give me one moment. Sorry, give me one second. Okay. Okay, so once you are in your slides, which I should be in a second, these slides are on Google Classroom for you. You are going to go to Launch Reflection, and I would like you to please click this link and take the survey. It's going to ask you how you're feeling about this objective. If you feel like you need more practice finding the zeros of polynomials, this is really helpful for you to know. So go ahead, take this survey, submit it. Once you submit it, I'm going to have you come back to this handout. And in the handout, you're going to start on this mild, medium, and spicy practice. So if you said you definitely need more practice, if that's how you responded to the survey, then you're going to start with mild. If you said, I don't really need more practice, I understand this, then you can start with medium or spicy. Either way, we're all going to get through all of the problems, just depending on where you start. So go ahead and get started on the practice. After you've submitted the survey, the practice is split into mild, medium, and spicy. All right, you're going to work independently on this practice. Raise your hand if you have any questions, and good luck. Thank you for your attention.